What's going on, guys? It's your boy John the Liquidator coming back with another video, man. So it looked like Jim Schwartz has broken his silence about what actually went down in Cleveland before he left. And he's speaking about Myles Garrett, man, in an exclusive interview he just wrapped up. And I'm here to tell you this interview is going to break the internet because he's telling it like it is when it goes to the Browns, bruh. We know their front office is not like that. And this give me even more answers that they need to let Shador go, bruh. Ain't no way. Everybody forgot about Jim Schwartz. Y'all done lost your defensive coordinator and your best defensive player, and hoping a prayer that this defense could be turned around. Then we heard about them possibly trading Denzel Ward for some more damn draft picks. Clear day. Cleveland is not a serious franchise. They're not planning on winning anything in the next 2 years. They're completely rebuilding everything, revamping the team, and getting ready for this new stadium. But let's listen to Jim Schwartz, man.
For their record-breaking seasons, right?
Yeah, with Calvin and it's funny with Calvin. Calvin broke the record. He broke Jerry Rice's record, and we had Jerry Rice on the sideline. Calvin's parents were on the sideline. We were going to have a thing where he was going to hand the ball to Jerry Rice, or Jerry Rice was going to hand him the ball. They were going to take it over to him, and the officials, because it was during a 2-minute, it was a pass out of bounds, and the clock was stopped, but they wound the 40-second clock. And it completely, like, we weren't able to have the little ceremony. And, it's like, hey, this wasn't like a game record or a personal record. This is the history of the NFL record. I think we can take a little time to, to celebrate the moment and everything else. Well, I talked to the officials before every game at the end of the season last year and just said, hey, look, if Myles breaks this record, like, we're going to celebrate it. And those guys were all for it, and it didn't affect the game, but the players picked him up on their shoulders. It's an iconic picture for the Cleveland Browns. He sets the record, and players got him off to the sideline, picked him up on the shoulders, and carried him off the field. You could tell how much they were rooting for him to set that record, and he got it against Joe Burrow, who he's had a lot of sacks against. Joe Burrow was completely different because the ball was coming out so quick that you had to defend the pass first, and you really didn't have to worry about his legs. It was the timing of the pass, and we played Joe Burrow in those 3 years better than anybody in the NFL over those seasons, because we had good rushers and good cover guys. And when you take his first look away, all of a sudden guys like Myles putting the clock on the quarterback, and he's got to get rid of the ball or he's going to take a hit. And that's sort of what happened in that record-setting sack late in the season. We were getting close now, Ryan. It was 10 minutes left in that game, and he still didn't have that sack. And if he didn't get a sack in that series, I was getting ready to tell him on the sideline, hey, look, I don't care if you're offsides 10 times in a row. Jump the snap count every single time we're getting this sack. And fortunately, we didn't need to do that. He just made it on his own. But it was an incredible moment.
And I told you this earlier, kind of thank God you're not going to be in Cleveland. If I have this correct with the numbers, the times playing with the Ravens, and Zach, maybe you can pull up the games at Cleveland that were ugly as hell. But if I'm not mistaken, over the years, the last 3 years, right? That's when you were in Cleveland. So 3 years, the Browns defense ranked number 1. Zach, you ready for this? Defensive efficiency, expected points, total first downs allowed, total yards, yards per play, total passing yards, third down efficiency, fourth down efficiency, pressure rate, time pressure rate, tackle for losses, 3 and outs. And then they were second in sack rate, short yardage defense, number 4 in total DVOA. Top 10 in pass breakups and INTs, forced fumbles. Yeah, Jim, your defenses were pretty brutal right there. 45 consecutive games without allowing 300 passing yards. Next team was 23. NFL records 52. Yeah, dude, you guys stunk out there, man.
Yeah, we had a good run. Yeah, it was. I got to coach with a guy who actually used to work for the Baltimore Colts back in the Frank Kush days. But I was in Tennessee with Gunther Cunningham, great NFL coach. And he used to always talk things like, hey, look, anybody can do it for 1 year. Anybody can be a flash in the pan. He said the thing that he always valued was 3 years of consistency. So I always took a lot of pride in that. That because in 3 years the injuries are gonna sort of even out. You're gonna have to do it with a bunch of different guys. Your strength of schedule is going to even out all those different things. So yeah, we were super proud of of the defense we played when I was in Cleveland,
I mean, we'll get to one of
and
the
and
players.
having
Yeah,
to
go
do
ahead.
it, yeah, and having to do it against Lamar and Joe Burrow and whoever, Aaron Rodgers, like all those guys too. Tough division, to have to play defense in.
Yeah, I mean, and then also just the flurry of injuries that you have throughout an NFL season. And we'll get to the one player that also, while you're not in Cleveland anymore, one of the other big pieces in Cleveland no longer is there, as well as he was shipped out to LA to join the Rams. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about just, the tenure to end with Cleveland. Obviously, a lot of people that I've talked to and how they describe you is, you know, the reason why you have success, and just also my outsider's perspective. Yeah, you got to be able to coach. You got to have a good group of guys, but you also got to have a continuity with that group, a connection. And I know you had that with Cleveland, and I know that there was the rumblings outside of the decision where they went with Monken instead of giving you the opportunity to be the head coach. And there was a lot of just rumors out there about the whole situation. So do you mind just maybe just touching on that? Because I know it's a sensitive subject, but at the same time, I think it gives great context because it is a business, but you're also human, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it sort of is what it was. We had a lot of success on defense, and the Browns made a change at head coach, and they passed over me with all the success that we had and the ability that to develop players. Our best players had their best years, all those different things. And that was the decision they made. They wanted to go with an offensive guy. They chose Todd. Um, I'm fine with that. They can make decisions that they want to make, but they can't expect me to stay on board for that. Anybody that's in any business, you get passed over for a promotion when you've done a really, really good job in your job, and you think you were in line for that promotion. It's time to go. And Todd deserved his own guy. He doesn't. I mean, a forced marriage isn't going to work in the NFL. And like having command of the players and having command of the locker room, all those things are extremely important. And I didn't feel like I could do my job after getting passed over for the head coaching job. It sort of, just put me in a tough position. Hey, we want you to listen to this guy, but we didn't think we didn't want to make him the head coach. So I made the decision to resign, and I have to sit out this year as a result. But I think anybody that's been in any business, when you've done a good job, when you mentioned those numbers, we weren't one of the best defenses in 3 years. We were the best defense in 3 years. And the decision they made, that's their decision. But to expect me to stay and to be on board for that, that's just a tough situation. And it wouldn't have been good for me, and it wouldn't have been good for Todd. So it was best for him to get his own guy in there and to move forward with him, as opposed to just having an arranged marriage and having me there and maybe having some players more loyal to me than him. It can just be a bad situation. 33 years in the NFL, I'd never been around that before. So that all went into decision. I wasn't upset about it. I was disappointed about it. I
Yeah.
wasn't upset about it. I wasn't mad about it. But it's just my experience told me that wasn't going to be a situation that was going to work.
And that's the business side of it. And, that's the intricacies where you're recognizing, a group where the last 3 years in Cleveland, you guys were building something special specifically on the defensive side, right? You can't argue that. And Zach, did some of those games. I hated when the Ravens went to Cleveland. I hated it. You guys stopped Derrick Henry. I think held him to probably the lowest total I've ever seen in Baltimore last year here. No doubt it probably would have been a talking point between you and with Todd, and I don't think that that's fair to either of you, to be honest. And, I don't know if I told you this, Jim, in different ways where it's hard, and maybe I can relate just from stories. Cal Sr., my grandfather, first time he got an opportunity was not at the time where it was maybe at the best. It was at a different time, and he only got a run of 6 games. And that messed with a lot of the guys on that staff. Actually, they fired my grandfather, and the Orioles went on to lose the next 15 games in a row. I don't know if you remember that start. 0-21.
I was a freshman in college. Oh, yeah, I lived that.
Yeah, good times. And, my dad, of all those